Everyone dreams of moving up north. The lakes, the sunset, and the silence. But most people don't realize exactly what they're getting into until it's too late. In this video, I'm going to walk you through what it's actually like to live in northern Michigan. The good, the beautiful, and sometimes the inconvenient. So you can decide if it's the right move for you. Hi, I'm Gino D'Angelo. I'm a local northern Michigan real estate agent, and I've helped hundreds of people just like you move in and out of northern Michigan. Some were ready for the northern Michigan lifestyle and some weren't. So let's make sure you're one of the ready ones. Let's talk about winter because it is a major part of life here. Snow typically starts in late October and sometimes lasts all the way through April. And we're not just talking about dustings, we're talking about feet upon feet of snow every single winter. You just have to make sure you prepare for it. And by preparing for it, I mean having an adequate vehicle and budgeting for the extra maintenance and utility costs that come with living in northern Michigan in the wintertime. Also, one of the lesser known consequences of winter in northern Michigan is not seeing the sun for months on end. And if you're like me, that really affects your mindset. So making sure that you have a fun outdoor activity and a way to cultivate community during those winter months is super important. In my opinion, winter in northern Michigan is one of the most underrated times of year, specifically around the holidays, where seasonal homeowners come back to spend some of the holidays in northern Michigan. And each of these small towns almost turn into Hallmark movies. If you haven't experienced winter in northern Michigan, it's definitely worth checking out if you can handle the cold and snow. And let's face it, summertime in northern Michigan is probably what brought you to this video to begin with. There is something magical about the summer months right here in northern Michigan. People from all over the country flock to northern Michigan during the summertime. And who can blame them? We have Caribbean blue waters, the perfect temperature every single day with no humidity, and tons of activities to keep you busy. In fact, I say this every summer, that it feels like an explosion where summer barely gets started and before you know it, it's over. Now, while I believe there is no place better on the planet than northern Michigan during those summer months, it does come with some downside. It gets extremely busy here. I'm talking about 10 times as many people as we're used to. And it seems like every summer we just get busier and busier, especially with places like Petoskey or Traverse City, where all of the local communities funnel into to shop, go to the cool restaurants, and grab coffee. And let's face it, these small northern Michigan towns were not designed to handle the amount of people that are coming to this area during the summer months, which definitely causes some gridlock. Restaurants are hard to get into. Driving down the road takes a lot longer than it does in other months out of the year. You can actually feel the energy change in northern Michigan during those summer months. Now, there are ways to enjoy summer in northern Michigan at a more laid back and calm pace. But by and large, when summer hits, it's prime time. That brings me into the next season, fall. I feel that fall is the most underrated season in northern Michigan because we still have nice weather and things calm down a lot. There's not as many people here, and it's a lot easier to enjoy everything that northern Michigan has to offer. I feel like one of the benefits of fall is it helps us ease from the busy summer into the slow winter. It's both a time to relax and recharge from the summertime and prepare your home and yourself for those harsh winter months. Something to consider if you've never lived in the Midwest is the maintenance you're going to have to do in the fall to prepare your home to get ready for winter. Things like raking the yard, picking up sticks. Some people put plastic over their windows to save heating costs, and others make sure they have extra insulation. That way their heating bills are not super high in the wintertime. Another reality of living in northern Michigan is you have to drive a lot. It seems like you're close to everything, but not close to anything, if that makes sense. Meaning within a 30 to 45 minute drive for just about anywhere in northern Michigan, you can get grocery stores, hospital, or even some big box stores. Now, while I grew up here and I'm used to this way of life, if you're coming from a metropolitan area or a big city where you have a Best Buy and a Costco just down the road, you're going to be in for a surprise here in northern Michigan. In fact, going on drives is a recreational activity for a lot of people. I remember as a kid driving around with my grandfather and stopping at a store to buy a bottle of pop and just checking out the country roads. And those are some of my fondest, simple memories of being a kid. And hey, if this video has been helpful so far, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. You don't want to miss any future videos. I cover everything from buying a lake from home to navigating life up north. And if you subscribe, you will definitely be in the loop. As I mentioned before, maintaining your property in northern Michigan is part of the lifestyle. And it costs a lot more than you think. I recently sold a house in Charlottesville to someone, and they were surprised with just how many yard tools they acquired. In fact, they even ended up buying a tractor. Now, if you live on a city lot, you're gonna have minimal upkeep. But when you start to get out in the country, which a lot of people that are relocating to Northern Michigan want to do, you really have to start considering what you need to maintain your property. And while buying a tractor isn't necessary, it can be a lot of fun. In fact, I've had a lot of people tell me that the best therapy they do is riding their tractor and cutting the grass. And one of the reasons that upkeep is so important in Northern Michigan is when you drive around, you can see a lot of pride of ownership, meaning that people that live in Northern Michigan typically care a lot about their properties. And that's why they adapt upkeeping their property as part of their lifestyle. Even myself, I find myself doing things to improve my home on the weekends and find a lot of joy doing it. Another reality of moving to Northern Michigan is that inventory can be tight. A lot of the small towns in Northern Michigan often don't have a lot of inventory on the market, meaning it may take you a little while to find the perfect home. But if you call a great realtor like me, and we come up with a game plan, we can make it a lot easier than it would be otherwise. I typically tell people to start their search between 9 months and 12 months out. That way you can get a better idea of what is going on with the market, what financing options are available, and what area is right for you. Because I've had a lot of people move to Northern Michigan and love it, but I've also had a few people move to Northern Michigan and regret it. And I think some simple planning on the beginning of your journey could save that from being you. One of the great aspects about Northern Michigan is it has a huge sense of community, but that's earned, not given, meaning you have to make an effort to meet your neighbors and get involved in community activities to grow your social network in real life. But hey, once you're in, that bond runs deep and you'll never need another friend. So now you know, Northern Michigan isn't just a pretty postcard. It's a lifestyle. And if you're thinking about making the move here, I'd love to help. And if you have a question or wish I would have talked about something differently, feel free to drop a comment or reach out to me directly at 231-487-6141. And I'll see you on the next video.